Hi, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hi, Laurie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am good, and RaRa is in the house. I am speaking to you tonight from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and my lovely Gratitude Girls partner is in...
I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, I didn't see your suitcase, so you're not on your way in or out this week, are you?
No, I leave Tuesday.
Okay, just a few more days. I love your life, Laurie. I love both of our lives. I think it's amazing what we have done and how we have written our I am statements and started to live them from the moment we started to write them. It's really amazing. I want to ask you a quick question. I know you love my impromptu questions. I know it's your favorite part of the show. But maybe you could just give me a quick synopsis of what was the best part of your day today?
What was the best part of my day today? I got some plumbing work done that needed to be done, and that was a success.
Okay, that's good. It's always good to have repairs, and pride of ownership is really important.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
So I now have a working water faucet in the backyard, which I haven't had in like 5 years. So
Wow, what are you going to do with that?
I'm going to get my house pressure washed.
Oh, good. Okay, that's a shiny house. You know, clean houses are important. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to say how excited I am to be on our show tonight for so many reasons. First of all, I really love seeing you, and I don't get to see enough of you. So maybe we can change that as we plan for next year so that we could have a little bit more face time. I think that would be nice. I also know that you have some really amazing things going on in your house that has to do with wedding bells with your family. How's
I
that going?
do. Yes. Yes, the wedding is this Saturday.
Mother of the groom.
Yes.
Okay. I look forward to hearing all about that. Well, thank you so much, Laurie, for allowing us to have a sneak peek into your personal life before we get on to the show. And I would like to talk to you about our amazing guest, and I'd like to tell her, oh, wait a minute, Laurie, before I talk about our guest, I have another question. Why are we doing this? What are the Gratitude Girls? Why are we here tonight? And if somebody's watching saying, oh, I was just about to introduce our guest, there I am. And then I realized, let's go and live the moment. Let's relive the moment, if you don't mind, on how we met. Are you able to do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. Let's share with our audience.
So Kathryn and I are actually in a company called Send Out Cards. It's a direct sales company. We are actually cross-lined to each other in the company, but we both won an award on stage. So 6.5 years ago, it was every year our company, our international convention, they do a theme, and the theme the convention has a theme. And there's an award. And so each year in 2013, the theme was gratitude. So our CEO got up on stage and he starts telling all the accolades and the attributes of who's going to win the award. And so then he calls out Kathryn's name. So Kathryn goes up on the stage and I'm way back in the audience taking pictures and video and stuff like that because I'm a techno geek and I'm saving everything to post places and do all that stuff. And so then he says, for the first time ever, and I'm pretty sure it's the only time since, that he says, there's a tie. And this year we're going to call somebody else. So he starts calling that person's accolades and attributes and all that stuff. And I was sitting there thinking, who could that be? Who could that be? I kept thinking, okay, it could be this person. It could be this person. And then it's like, more he would say, the more I would dwindle out that it wasn't those people. And then he called my name at the last minute. And so Kathryn and I actually met each other on stage in front of thousands of people. And so it was called the Gratitude Award. And so literally right then we just like both knew that we had to do something with this. So there's like no coincidences, right? There's always a reason for everything. And so literally within like 2 minutes, Gratitude Girls was born.
Wow.
Laurie, I love when you share that story, because I relive every moment, and every time I relive it, I hope this is inspiring someone to take that leap of faith for themselves, to go and put themselves out there. When I was in the audience and I heard Cody call my name, I remember my knees were shaking and I thought, how am I going to make it up there? But it was my vision. It was in my I am statement. And when I heard Cody call your name, I thought, I am going to meet Laurie Delk, the woman that you had so many comments and so much recognition for sending the most gifts in the company. When I heard that you had sent more gifts than anyone else, I thought, what would it be like to be a person receiving a gift from you? Because I imagined it would be special. And now I know what that's like. And I remember actually the first thing you gave me an eagle, a little stuffed animal, a little stuffed bird, eagle. And I still have that. And I thought, how wonderful that you gave me a gift as soon as you met me, and that you had that. And now at that moment, I understood why you were like that and why you would receive an award like that, because of your giving heart. And when we were on stage and I stood next to you and I heard your story, and when we walked down the stage, we got to the bottom and we held each other's hand to walk down, and then we sat together in the VIP section for the next few days. But we did know instantly that that we were going to do something, and Gratitude Girls was born. It was the most natural birth I've ever had.
That's right. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Here we are 6.5 years later, and
we're still in the honeymoon stage. And this is amazing, because we won't have it any other way. We are hardwired for our relationship to be full of gratitude. And this is such an honor and a pleasure to be able to be with you on this platform and have other people and friends and new friends and people that we meet for the first time come onto the show and share what they're grateful for. And sometimes it's the first time for our guests to tell a story that they never thought they would tell. You know, when you have an idea about something and then something else emerges. We once had guests that sang. I mean, we never know what's going to happen. We could have dancing and singing tonight. So to our audience, be ready for anything, because gratitude shows up in many ways, shapes, and forms. I would like to spend a few minutes introducing our guest tonight. So for those of you who have read our promotion, it's Cathleen Fillmore. Cathleen formerly is a journalist and an author. She's a founder and past president of the Canadian Association for Professional Speakers Atlantic. Currently, Cathleen owns and runs Speakers Gold Bureau and is also a well-known marketing consultant to professional speakers who want to make more money while making a difference by doing what they love. Cathleen has put on her own talent showcases for speakers, as well as holding seminars and speaking at conferences about the speaking market. Cathleen has written several books, most recently, Totally Booked, available on Amazon. Cathleen, welcome to the Gratitude Girls Show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Well, Cathleen, let me tell the audience, thank you so much, a little bit about our instant connection, because that was an amazing connection. We met in the bathroom, but that was the second time we met. The first time we met, we were in a big room, but then we connected for the second time in the ladies' room. Tell the story.
I don't honestly remember. We met at a BNI meeting. Or are you talking about the BNI meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met at a BNI meeting, and Kathleen was sitting across from me, and I was really thrilled to hear how Kathleen was speaking. And then before we left, we were in the ladies' room together. And and you know what it's like, you're washing your hands, you fix your hair, you know, your lipstick, and you get to really talk to that person, they're next to you. And I looked at Kathleen and I said, I think you would be an awesome guest on our show. And immediately Kathleen said, yes.
Wow. I don't remember. I remember you saying that, and I remember you at BNI. I just don't remember us being in the washroom. It's hysterical. So funny. Funny how things happen. No coincidences, right?
Right. And ever since that moment, and that was quite a few, I don't know, 5 months or something ago, we booked for this month, and there was a lot of time because of the availability. And since then, we've had an opportunity to communicate, and I've had a chance to learn a little bit about you online. And I certainly can say that you are quite the connector. My goodness, Kathleen, tell me a little bit about how you developed your skill of connecting.
I think I'm a terrible connector, but I'm a real introvert. So in that sense, I don't do a lot of networking. However, what I love doing is taking the thousands of people I have, like on LinkedIn, for example, and saying, Kathryn, you've got to meet this person, which I've already done with the show, right? Yeah.
You have.
So I like being kind of the fairy godmother, tapping someone on the shoulder and saying, you've got to meet this person. And it's part of being influential, which I think we all aspire to be, right? It's just a wonderful thing. I like being behind the scenes in the work I do, not being the speaker, but being the one behind the scenes and making things happen. So when I had a seminar, I had it at Verity Club downtown, this fancy women's club. I was a member for a while. And it would be in the middle of winter, and I would just look out the window, because, of course, I was there early, and I would see people running across the street in the front of traffic and so on to get to the club. And I thought, I put this in motion. They're running to come to my seminar. I mean, they got up early. They got all dressed up and so on. And the same with my showcase. Right, I would meet people who were going to get their hair done because they were coming to my showcase later. Just the whole thing, the whole idea that I was putting things in motion.
Right.
That is the central element of creation, isn't it? To put things in motion.
Thank you. Yes, and you do that very well. And the connections that you make, I feel like they're very well thought out from the experience that I have with you. It seems like you think about it and you are very purposeful and intentional. Let me ask you a little bit about the day-to-day life of Cathleen Fillmore. For example, can you tell us a little bit about what you did today or when you got up? Or I understand that you live a very purposeful life and you get to do exactly what you want to do. So can you share can you give us a little peek into what you did today?
Well, I'll tell you what I used to do is like set my alarm for 7:30 every single morning and follow my list. And I'd have a great big list of things to do for the week. And then I broke it down into days, and that's what I would do. And recently, I have just decided to take a new approach. I don't set my alarm except when I have to. So I try to avoid that. I get up when I want to. I ask myself what I really want to do, and I don't let my head alone answer. I let my whole body answer. The thing about your body is it's too intelligent to lie to you. It has too much integrity to lie to you. Your body will tell you the truth. Your head will lie to you in very sophisticated arguments. Well, I can't afford this. Well, I shouldn't do that. Well, that person's not very nice. Your head will lie to you. Your heart, of course, is a notorious liar, but your body can't. So I tune in to all three.
That's wonderful.
And the body is really the one that tells me the honest truth, with no bullshit. Never mind, well, this is what you should do today. No, this is what you're going to do today.
What did you do today?
So what did I do today? Well, I do tons and tons of reading every day. So I did reading, went to the library, picked up 3 more books. That's my greatest joy, is reading and writing and new ideas and new information and so on. So that's what I did. And then I did a little bit of work and had some phone calls with some great people who inspire me enormously. And that's my day.
And do you like to be outside, Kathleen?
I make a point of walking every single day. So today I walked 5,000 steps, and that's going to be my new goal, to walk, because I do love to walk. And I know that as a heavy reader, as an introvert, it's important to get outside, right? And to get in touch with nature. Yeah.
And after that little bit of rain this morning, wasn't it a gorgeous afternoon?
Gorgeous. Just beautiful. Just beautiful.
I know we don't live too far from one another, but these colors that we're experiencing right now outside, they are amazing. I called a friend who lives on a 10-acre farm, and I said, what is your view like? Take a picture and send it to me. And she sent me a picture of these gorgeous trees. On our street, the trees are beautiful, but I could just imagine looking at these 10 acres. And so she sent me a photo. It was just awesome. It was amazing. I'm sure it's inspiring for so many people to have this beauty around them.
Yeah.
Let me ask another question, Kathleen. What would you say is the biggest, you talked about influence, being a person of influence. What would you say influences you the most, besides listening to your body?
What would I say? What? Sorry?
What influences you the most?
Books. Books have gotten me through everything, and I've been through a lot. Books have just helped me manage everything. They've got me through joyful moments. They've gotten me through tough moments where I didn't see how I could go on. Books did it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there a current book that you're reading right now that you'd like to share with us?
Well, there's I've got a few, but I'm not quite into any of them quite yet, because there are about 3 or 4 that I'm just kind of leafing through. One is, I heard this woman speak on Sunday, and it's called My Year of Living Spiritually. I really recommend that. Very, very interesting book. But the other book, I'm not sure I remember the name of it, is about a Pakistani woman who had an arranged marriage with a man who lived in Toronto, and the whole idea, her parents said, was you can finish your education in Toronto. She was 16 when she got married, I think, 15 or 16, and she was hesitant, but he promised her he'd let her go to school, and she came to Toronto, and suddenly she's living with his parents, and she's their property as well as his property. And of course, there was no school, and there was some violence and so on in it. So eventually, she got out of the marriage. But it's a true story, and it is just so fascinating. She's been written up a lot in Toronto Life and so on. Very, very interesting book, and it just shows you what happens when there's that imbalance of power. No one wins. He was no happier than she was. So why don't people get it that when you treat someone badly, you hurt yourself? I mean, right? You swear at someone, you're hurting yourself. Absolutely. It's funny we don't get that.
Absolutely. Some don't and some do.
Some don't, yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that point up. I would like to talk a little bit about gratitude. I'd like to know, if you don't mind, I'm not asking you questions to answer point blank. You might need a minute to think about it. But it is a gratitude show, so I would like to bring, and I say that because we talk about this all the time, the things that we're grateful for, and what are we grateful for today, and sometimes it's as simple as, opening our eyes. I'd like to know if we can dig a little bit deeper and ask you if you could share perhaps a gratitude story, something that impacted you. It made an impact on you. That's what I meant to say.
Right. Well, I can't separate, when I've been thinking about this, can't separate gratitude stories from kind of mystical experiences that I've had. And so I'll tell you one that it really changed my life. And I was not very conscious at the time at all. And so my son had lost his last year of university because he'd had a breakdown, and because the university wasn't in Toronto, which was probably a good thing. his dad and I didn't know, right? Although I knew every time I called him, he was often in tears. But if I told his dad it would have been my fault or whatever, I would have been imagining things. So I didn't say anything, but I knew something was wrong. And in any case, he came home and had lost his year, and it was his final year, and he was just kind of vegetative. I mean, he was severely depressed, and I was on my own, so and I'd never dealt with that kind of deep depression, so I didn't know what to do, and I was in a bit of a panic. And so one day I was going to work, and I had my hand on the doorknob going out the door, and I just thought, I'm going to tell him to look at himself, to just take a look at himself and see what he's doing. I mean, he was in a dirty bathrobe watching TV at 10 o'clock in the morning, eating cookies, unshaven, and I just, like, it's not him. And I turned to say something to him, and I swear there was energy coming from that doorknob. I've never had an experience like that in my life. I turned to say something to him, and the words that came out of my mouth were not my words. And the words that came out of my mouth were, Bruce, that's what I'll call him, that's not his name, Bruce, I'm so proud of you. And then we both looked at each other like, oh, what? I was so startled because they weren't my words. And he just groaned because he felt so bad about himself. And yet when you do have mental illness, you have kind of pockets of clarity where you know when someone's being honest with you or not, because your life is kind of boiled down to the elements, right? And he just looked at me. And for a second I thought, yeah, okay, what next, what next? And then I knew, of course I knew. And I said, because I know how hard it is sometimes to just put one foot after the other. And of course I know that, right? Mm. And he that's a story I will never lose my attachment to or my alignment with, right? It's just so moving to me. And he just nodded. And that was the benediction to me. He just nodded and forgave me for what I was almost going to say. And it changed everything. I thought, I could have lost him if I'd said something stupid. I'm so grateful, right? So I was so grateful for that. Divine intervention is all I can call it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Listening to the cues, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The emotional cues.
Yes. Well, it really went beyond that. I mean, sometimes I think, okay, well, I found those words somewhere in my head, although I hadn't intended to say just that, but it was a perfect thing to say. But this was beyond that. I didn't say those words. I mean, I said those words, but they were not in my head.
It wasn't what you were expecting to come out.
But I was receptive, you know.
Right. What a very good point.
What a very good point. How many times do we miss amazing experiences because we're resistant, right? I was receptive. Yeah.
Right. Receiving is as important as giving. Laurie, I'm sure you have, thank you for sharing that, Kathleen. I'm sure you have a question for Kathleen. Please, by all means.
Yes, so I have a question. So you have you're running the Speakers Gold Bureau, and then you have a book called Totally Booked that is for speakers too, right? So what do you do like with speakers to help them?
Okay. And also, Kathryn asked me earlier how I got into speaking, so I can tell you a little bit about that as well. So I'll start with how I get into speaking, because it was just, again, so crazy. A few years after the experience I told you about, both of my sons were quite demanding. I was a single parent, and they were in their early 20s, and it was, mom, mom, mom. And I was working at a job I really didn't like, teaching English. to refugees. I loved that, but I really wanted to talk to them about their countries, about how they were settling here, and about things that mattered, not conjugating verbs. But I was supposed to conjugate verbs, so I really hated it, and I was getting sick. And finally, I really made a decision, and I just packed everything up and left for Nova Scotia, and sold my house, left my kids, and I said, I'm doing this for you. Because I had a vision of them at my funeral, and they were just inconsolable, and they were saying to themselves, what was that about? What was that life about? Like, that was sad, and it would have been. But I wasn't well. I was getting sick all the time. I knew I had to get away. So I moved to Nova Scotia. My father had left me in his will enough money to live on for a year in Nova Scotia, but not in Ontario. But I had to get away from everyone and figure out what I wanted and what my agenda was. And so, of course, I went through the money in about 6 months. Of course you do, right? If you have a year's money to live on, of course you're going to go through 6 months. And I went to write a book about my life, which I'd always wanted to do. And then after a couple of weeks, I thought, no, this is not right for me to do this now. But I wasn't going to go home and say, well, that didn't work. I mean, like, I'd given up everything, and I didn't want to face my sons and say, well, it didn't work, and go back to same old. I really felt I had to honor them by making something out of my life and show that example. So I started writing magazines, articles. I wrote an article about Swiss Air crash for Hotel Magazine. I wrote articles for a Canadian grocer, and so on and so on, and earning a little bit of money there. And then I had been to 2 meetings of a speakers association, Ontario Speakers Association, and they were just turning into the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. And they didn't have a branch in Halifax. So I said to someone, well, hey, why don't we get it started? And we did. And I was the first president, and I did not want to be, and I do not want to be a speaker, but there was no one else. And it was great experience, but that's how I got into speaking. So now what I do to speakers, for speakers, not to them, but let's say you wanted to go out there speaking, I would really find your core message, and you couldn't tell me it was about customer service, because that's never your core message. Your core message might be one word, like gratitude. It's probably your core message. Well, then that's fine. You both know what that is. We need to build that up so that we can take it in the marketplace so it's fresh and marketable. So I work a lot in the messaging, where my writing background comes in. And then from there, you decide on your audience, because people sometimes say to me, well, what does the market want? And I say, I don't really care what the market wants. I care what you have to offer. And let's find a bridge to the market, because unless you are into butterflies or something, pretty well, we can find a bridge to the market. And so that's what we do. And then we define our audience, show them where to find the audience. I have astounding resources that I built up over the years, including people that I often introduce them to. And we create a strategy. So that's what I do. But I work more now with people who are not beginners. I'm developing a program for beginning speakers, but working more with people who really want to move up, because that's where I'm really learning the most, right? From those speakers, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Kathleen. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We like to turn things around a little bit at Gratitude Girls Show. We like to be able to say, Kathleen, maybe you have a question for Laurie and I. And if you do have a question for us, this would be a good time to turn the show over to you. And of course, this is unrehearsed, so we have no idea what you're going to ask us. Whatever you'd like to know about gratitude, maybe I should qualify that, please go right ahead and ask us.
Well, my perspective on it is a little different. So, which, of course, so you say unrehearsed, okay, you can't complain now if I'm gonna throw a curveball. So my question would be this: what's next? And have you ever thought of going out there speaking, the two of you?
Would you like Laurie and I to both answer that?
Yes.
Okay,
One at a time, though.
yes, Laurie, would you like to answer first?
You can go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Whoops, thank you. So thank you so much. We do speak, and we love to speak. We like to listen as well. What's next? So I'll break it up into two parts. What's next with Gratitude Girls show, if that's your first question, or what's next with Gratitude Girls? So our show is certainly, as is and always has been, a great platform for our audience to share their gratitude. What's next for our show? It will continue to provide a platform for our guests to share their gratitude and to share stories that they either have told before or they have never told. It's a safe place for our guests to come. For Gratitude Girls, we are certainly enjoying our speaking on the show, and we enjoy our speaking as we do in our private businesses, and we speak about gratitude together and separately.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Laurie, hot spot.
So yes, everything that Kathryn said, and we also, yes, we have things that we have set up and also that we are still working on writing our first book together.
Wonderful.
As well as, yes, doing other speaking engagements together as well, not only just, in gratitude, but it's also a lot of times not just for at events, but at like corporate companies as well, where they need to bring the gratitude in the corporate environment to have that happier place.
True enough. The world is getting, well, I hate to say, in this time of chaos, the world is getting more conscious, but truly it's just a backlash because the world is getting more conscious, and that is frightening for some people who don't know how to surrender to that, right? So I think the world is ready for your message. It's really wonderful.
Those are great questions, Kathleen. Thank you, because there is a future and there are things that Laurie and I are so thrilled to be able to talk about, and it's so nice of you to ask us and for our audience to hear and to hear our plans, because it's always nice to be accountable for that. So when we bring others in and we put our messages out there, it makes us accountable and others as well accountable to others.
Right. Yeah. And there are always new horizons, right? One can't get complacent, I think. And so it's always nice to keep expanding, and then you'll know your natural limits, Yeah.
And Kathleen, I can relate to that precisely today, day 22. Is it the 22nd? Day 22 of my 30-day yoga challenge. We cannot get complacent when we feel like it just might be one step too much, too many. You go and you turn the corner. I've done these 30-day challenges sometimes for 10 months in a row at my yoga studio, believe it or not. Like 30 days is not enough for me. I have to do 10 months at a time. But
wow.
This month here, today, I realized that the challenge is not a challenge. Today, I've done this numerous times, but I felt that it really was a place of comfort.
Yeah.
To be in a place of new awareness, as opposed to, well, this hurts too much, or going into my class and not knowing was comforting today, so that I can reach my new limits. So you're right about complacency. I really appreciate that. Kathleen, if our audience would like to get in touch with you, Laurie will we will post everything that you've given to us. Is there a method that you prefer over another for our audience? If they have a question for you, if they want to speak to you after the show or tomorrow or next week, what's your preference?
Email is probably the best way to reach me. And it's Kathleen with a C, Cathleen @ speakersgold.com. So that's probably the easiest way.
That's awesome. Yes, thank you so much. And how we have communicated with you.
Yeah.
Laurie, I don't like to watch the time, Laurie, but I do because I am sort of the Gratitude Girls timekeeper in a way, or
Yep.
the time giver. I don't want to keep the time. I want to give it away. Laurie, let's talk a little bit about our guests are watching the show. They're watching Kathleen, whether it's live or on the replay, and they're thinking, I want to be like Kathleen. I want to be on the show, or I want to be like Kathleen, period. And they can reach her directly and ask her how to be like her and how to do the things that she does. But how does someone get on our Gratitude Girls show? What do they have to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls and click the little message box at the top right of the screen and send us a message. When you do that, that sends a message to Kathryn and I both together. So we get that together. Just tell us your gratitude story, and then we will get together and get in touch with you. Make sure you leave us your contact information, and that way we can get a hold of you and see when our calendars all match up and we can get you featured on our show.
Yes, thank you for that. And we have our show the fourth Tuesday of every month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. Every month, the fourth Tuesday, we do not miss a show. So what's important to know is that you can always tune into us. We are here, and we are here to listen to your gratitude stories. If you have a story that you'd like to share with us personally, and email is not the way that you'd like to do that, you can find us and you can text us, and we will set up a 3-way video conference call to hear what you have to say. We do want you to know that you can speak with us live because your stories are important to us. I thank you so much, Kathleen, for being a guest on our show this evening. It has been wonderful to listen to you, to hear your story, your gratitude story. And I do look forward to getting to know you better because we're in the same town, so to speak. So I think we can go for a walk together from time to time.
That would be great. Love to. Sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Laurie.
Thank you. Thanks for being on our show. Good
My
night,
pleasure.
everyone.
Our audience, good night.
Night.